is now officially 250 years. What a milestone, am I right? Even with that, with the 250th stuff officially past us, or before us depending on when you watch it, the train action continues as always as we get closer and closer to 4014's next official visit to the Buckeye State. So, without further ado, let's go ahead and get into our story. Almost as per usual at this point, my time along the High Iron would begin at the Central Ohio Model Railroad Club on July 2nd, 2026. My time during this visit wouldn't last very long as not a lot of progress was made on the layout, and my mode of transportation was unfortunately not doing so hot. However, I was able to still catch a couple of trains while I was here, first of which was being a southbound loaded grain train on the Norfolk Southern Sandusky District that I unfortunately can't get the symbol for. As it would turn out, this southbound grain train would have a neat surprise as it was towing a completely separate train behind it, specifically a southbound loaded coal train. On both of these trains' as-needed journeys, they were probably combined up in Bellevue to save Norfolk Southern a separate crew. Before I left for the afternoon, another southbound would go down the Sandusky District, specifically Ennis Intermodal 270, which runs on a daily basis out of Landers Yard in Chicago, Illinois, for Rickenbacker Yard in Columbus, Ohio, carrying both domestic and international shippers. Three days after the 250th anniversary of the United States, on July 7th, 2026, I would find myself at the Whittier Street overpass, overlooking CSX's Columbus subdivision and Norfolk Southern's western branch. Today, I came down here in hopes of seeing CSX mixed freight train M636, which had one of CPKC's hydrogen fuel cell prototype locomotives. Unfortunately, though, my informant was away from the keyboard the entire time I was out, so I was essentially left on my own. Despite that setback, I was still able to catch a small collection of trains while I was here. First of which, on CSX's Columbus subdivision, was southbound mixed freight train M314, only 2 miles away from finishing its daily journey between Avon, Indiana, and Columbus, Ohio. Construction workers as well as myself would witness a meet happen right below us, between southbound local train L339 on CSX and northbound loaded coke train 803 on Norfolk Southern, running between their respective origination and destination points here in the state. The last train that I would see at Whittier Street before breaking off to find the train I actually wanted to see was a southbound loaded grain train on CSX's Columbus subdivision, and I just barely made it up to the overpass before the locomotives went underneath me. Despite not being too much to see as all the cars are relatively identical to each other, there were a couple of former chassis system hoppers mixed into the bunch. About a week and a half later, on July 18th, 2026, I would find myself at a location I don't visit very often, the Powell Road Overpass in Lewis Center, Ohio. Flying over the crossovers on the Sandusky District under some ominous skies was NS Intermodal 28N on its daily journey between Chicago, Illinois, and Charlotte, North Carolina. Despite having a trio of AC slot GEs, the trailing 4141 is unique as it carries the old Thoroughbred logo, as a result from an accidental hood swap at some point. After a huge thunderstorm made its way through the area, dropping the temperatures, the constellation prize that most were looking for on this day would come south on NS Mixed Freight Train 18M on its daily journey between Bellevue, Ohio, and Crewe, Virginia, with a very patriotic duo in charge today. On just their second revenue freight run for the company were a pair of Norfolk Southern's America 250th units, specifically the Lady Liberty and the Freedom, both of which were among the quintet of diesel locomotives seen with Union Pacific Big Boy 4014 just 4 days prior. Exactly 1 week later, on July 25th, 2026, I would find myself alongside the Scots Long Secondary at a location that I haven't visited in quite some time, the Leap Road Railroad Crossing in Hilliard, Ohio. miles away from completing its daily journey between Chicago, Illinois and Columbus, Ohio, was CSX Intermodal IO-48, with ES-44AH 1871 trailing second, the Atlantic Coastline Heritage Unit, or the Purple Gevo Eater. Another location that doesn't get a whole lot of attention? Yes, please! A couple of days later, on July 27, 2026, I would find myself on the Scottsong Secondary once more, but at the Rings Road Railroad crossing in Amlin, Ohio, once again for CSX Intermodal IO-48. This daily journey between Chicago, Illinois and Columbus, Ohio would have CSX 1900 in charge today, the railroad's Seaboard Airline Heritage Unit wearing its unique orange blossom special paint scheme, one of my personal favorites. A couple days later, on July 30th, 2026, I would find myself alongside the Sandusky District and Columbus Line subdivisions at the Wilson Bridge Road Railroad crossing for NS Intermodal 28N. While the typical trio of NSs are in charge of the daily journey between Chicago, Illinois and Charlotte, North Carolina, the trailing 3618 would catch your attention as it's missing the eyebrow trim and the stripes on the front. The reasoning for this is because a graffiti artist vandalized the Tier 4 Gevo and decided to put the Norfolk and Western markings on the front instead. While I don't condone committing crimes, these graffiti artists provide some interesting one-off patch jobs that are unique. Alrighty folks, that pretty much does it for yet another video. CSX took the reins for quite some time this month. However, Norfolk Southern came in on the back end and had some pretty nice stuff to send my way too. If you enjoy my video, consider checking out some other ones of mine. Leave a like or a comment down below to share your thoughts. Subscribe if you're new, and tap the notifications bell if you want to be notified when a new video gets posted here on the channel, just like this. Until next time, this is All Ohio Railfan, signing off.